If you're a parent caught in the chaos of youth sports, the pressure, the politics, the excitement, you're not alone. This is Be Valiant.
Welcome to another episode of Be Valiant, brought to you by Valiant Sports Society. I'm your host, Todd Merkow, the CEO and founder of Valiant Sports Society. I got another good one for you today. At least it is for me, for sure. I get tingles just setting it up. My oldest daughter, the firstborn, my wife and I's first child, is here today to talk about her sports experiences. It is Madison Merkow, Madison Brooke Merkow, to be more specific. She's probably going to hate me for that. We just took a different turn on this podcast. She's Sydney's big sister, who you will get to know in a podcast as well. A little bit about her history. Volleyball was her main sport. Beach volleyball became her love sport, I think, but we'll find out for sure today. Integral team member for beach volleyball playoff teams for Chaparral High School, which was interesting because she was also on the forefront of girls' high school beach volleyball in the state of Arizona, which was awesome. Played beach volleyball at Miracosta College, 3-year student athletic trainer for the football team while she attended Arizona State University, completing her degree in Bachelor of Science in Exercise and Wellness. I'm very proud to say she is an entrepreneur. She has her own company that she launched a few years ago. We'll talk a little bit about today and how sports was an impact there, and LYT Active. One of her main purposes is to fight PCOS, polycystic ovary syndrome, which is near and dear to her heart, also to Sydney's heart, and to her mom and dad's, quite frankly, because of its impact. She's a fantastic bartender and a trainer for the Fox restaurants when it comes to opening restaurants and the bars. She's made difficult decisions in walking away from a sport that she loves, loss of identity or finding a new identity was definitely part of her past. Again, this is more than just an interview that I'm bringing you. It's me and as a dad, hearing her perspective and our shared journey. Some of it, I may not know all of it. I think I know a good amount of it, but hopefully we'll get a good amount of it today. So Madison, welcome.
Thanks for having me.
Was that a long enough intro for you?
Yeah, that was so long. I think you told everybody everything about me. I have nothing to say.
You have nothing to say now? You have plenty to say. Well, let's start right in the beginning of it all. I mean, you obviously are an athlete. I would definitely, you still call yourself an athlete,
Yeah.
I would assume, yeah. Your love of sports was, there was no doubt, it was undeniable, both with you and your sister. So what's your earliest, fondest memories of playing sports as a young girl?
Soccer.
Yeah.
Soccer.
What about it?
You as the coach.
Yeah.
Playing with Sydney, playing with all my friends. That's probably like the first memory that I can really remember, all of just the fun times in sports.
And you did soccer for how many years?
I don't even remember anymore.
2, maybe? Two or three? Yeah.
And it was just it was rec. It was just some rec soccer.
Yeah, what comes to mind, like the most joyful moment from your early playing years of anything?
I was so little in soccer that it was just, all the memories I have were like the fun little details, like the parents being involved in everything, orange slices at halftime, like the parents coming out and talking to you at halftime. Like it was like not even a serious thing, but everybody had so much fun.
The player tunnels?
The player tunnels. That was one of the best highlights.
Yeah?
Yeah.
And then what about volleyball? When did that become your sport? When did that transition start?
I don't even remember what age I was anymore, but it feels forever ago now. Indoor volleyball was obviously my first route. Rec too. In Scottsdale, Arizona?
Mm-hmm.
Scottsdale Rec or something?
Yeah.
Played there for, I don't even know now, 3 years maybe? I don't know what age I started. Maybe like 11? 10, 11?
Yeah, 10. You were
It was
really
around
young.
right after soccer had stopped for me.
Yeah, it might have been 9
kind
or
of dove
9 or
right
10.
into indoor volleyball.
Yeah, you dove out of soccer, and then I don't know if it overlapped. It had to have overlapped one year, but then you just decided
indoor
that's where
was
you
my
wanted to
thing.
be.
Yeah.
That's where you wanted to be.
Yeah. Indoor was rec for 3 to 4 years, I think, before going into high school. Played in middle school, played, and then went and played at Chaparral. And that's where indoor really hit the ground running with indoor, and then lost my love for it at the same time in about 2 years in high school, and then found my love for beach volleyball.
Yeah, we'll talk about that transition in more detail because it's a good story. So so you touched on playing multi-sport, and what else did you play? Soccer, volleyball? I remember
Soccer,
you golf.
indoor volleyball. Golf was like
But
just
you
for
tried
fun.
it.
Yeah, I tried it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Hurt my shoulders too much playing volleyball for so long. But track, I did track in high
that's
school,
right,
and I
yeah.
love track.
Yeah, you were fast.
I ran the 400, the 200, long jump, high jump, the 4x4.
Yeah.
Can't even remember what else. I feel like I ran a lot of events.
Yeah, well, that definitely didn't come from me. I can take credit for some things athletically
who
with
it
you
came
guys,
from.
but not from me, because I was not fast. But it was impressive. You were a good track athlete,
Yeah.
too. So as a multi-sport athlete, for a moment there, having a crossover between soccer and volleyball, do you wish you had played more multiple sports year-round and not specialized as early as you did in volleyball?
I think in high school and college, I questioned, I think you also helped me question if I could have seen a career in soccer, which I probably could have, but I feel like as a little kid, I was going through so many other health issues that I kind of wanted to not run anymore. And then I found my love for running again in high school, and then lost it again in indoor volleyball and beach, and then found it again after college because I hated running in college, and now I love it again. So,
well, there was a really scary moment for me. Anyway, I don't know if you remember it, but I was coaching you in soccer, and you were running, and you were fierce, man. You and your sister were so different. She had a fierceness to her at a younger age, but you just were like, you're going to kill people out there, like knocking them over, and you had a mission. You had a
I'm
mission.
like an 8-year-old.
But you had a mission. I mean, you had a mission. But in your running, in your cardio, there was a moment when you came over to me in the game, crying or on the verge of crying, and it was more of a look on your face of fear. And you said, my chest, and I put my hand on your chest, and your heart was beating out of your chest. And I think I told you to go over to your mom at that point, because I took you out, obviously, but it was really scary. And I think the rapid heartbeat thing for a moment in time with you, and I think you got diagnosed as something as being just a growth issue or something. I don't remember what the ultimate was, but do you remember that?
I remember it. I don't really remember the moment as much anymore, but I remember going to the doctors and talking about what I was feeling when I was playing soccer and when I was running, what would happen. And there was some diagnosis of something I would grow out of. It was just like
that's what I remember.
Heart palpitations or something that
but it
wasn't
scared
super
you.
serious.
No, it scared you. That's what I remember of you making the commitment to volleyball, because you didn't want to have that happen to you again. It's that.
Yeah, I didn't want to run anymore.
Well, but
so
you
that
didn't
my
want
heart
that experience. Yeah.
Oh yeah. Because it happened when I was running.
Yeah.
For too long.
Yeah, that was really scary.
Yeah.
Other sports. Talked a little bit with Sydney about basketball. We had a hoop in the front yard, totally overlooked with you guys, and the whole idea, especially the family of which Mom comes from.
Well, all the uncles always wanted us to play, but nobody ever did.
Yeah, and you guys did.
Just like you wanting us to play softball, but we never took.
Yeah, and I got to mention it with you too. I've never thought in my wildest years that your genes from playing a certain sport would come through, but you guys could throw, you could hit, you had great hand-eye, and you could catch.
Yeah.
And
we made it work in other sports.
Yeah, well, that's true, but the crossover of being able to get those skills and apply to other things, I mean, make you a better player, right? So as an absence of that multi-sport and playing longer, even into high school, you played one sport in high school essentially, right? Do you think you would have preferred to play more sports leading up into high school?
I think
especially considering your volleyball experience, by the way.
I think I would have liked to stay in track. I do think about that every once in a while, especially now. As much as I love running, I feel like I could have stayed in it, but indoor and beach got too time consuming. You can't do clubs and do high school and do another sport all at the same time.
Yeah.
It's like almost impossible now for kids to do that.
Yeah. Well, let's talk about that. Let's talk about the transition or the different levels. You played rec, you played club, you were in club, beach club, indoor, so there was two different kinds of club. High school, both indoor and beach, and then college. So, you know, in those experiences, were there any levels you felt more joy, more stress, less stress? Like, where was your greatest fun at in all those levels, would you say, with volleyball?
I feel like rec, I don't remember a lot of it at this point because it just feels so long ago, but I do remember that being like the most fun. Like, I remember having the most friends. Going into indoor, it's where, like, clubs in high school, I knew everybody from rec. Like, everybody played together in rec in Scottsdale before there was, like, 20 other clubs that came out of rec. Because it started with, what, like 3 or 4 when I was younger, and then it exploded into, like, 10 other clubs all in, like, 2 years. So I think rec was the most fun, where you can just be a kid and learn what the sport actually is, and it really doesn't matter if you're good or bad. And club is just a whole roller coaster for me. I don't even know how to sum that up.
Well, that's fine. Let's get into it, because I think indoor and beach are
they're a whole different,
totally different worlds and totally different experiences for you, good and bad.
Yeah, good and bad.
Well, let's talk about indoor. So talk about indoor and your experiences there.
All right, let's see. Where do I start? I started indoor club when I was in high school.
Well, I'll give you a jumping off point if you want to start. Let's start in the very beginning. Tryouts, indoor tryouts.
Well, I don't even remember what club it was at first. It was the club that I started for when I was in middle school before I went into high school. It ended up turning into 2 different clubs within the year or 2 of me being in it, and then you had to go try out again and pick your club. And then it was even crazier with the coaches and how they all talked about each other and tried to get you to go play at the other club, but that's even further down the line. But the first year of club I remember being fun. I feel like it was almost like rec. Like, everybody I'd played with in rec all came and played at the same club, because there was like 1 to 3 clubs at that time that everybody played in. It was in the Valley, at least. And from there, that's when the drama took over, and it was all about money. I remember the conversation all about money with the parents and the coaches, and then it became, I don't even want to quote certain clubs because I really can't remember indoor as much anymore, but one club became 2, and that was a big pivoting point for me too. That was when I was in high school, and one team wanted me as a libero and an outside. One team wanted me as a middle and a setter. So I feel like once I got to high school and I had started to find, you know, my defensive skills, how I wasn't really going to continue growing anymore because I was the tallest in rec. I was like a middle and an outside all through rec because I had the height compared to everybody else. And then I stopped growing. And when I stopped growing in club, I just got knocked down to figure out where I would be defensively. And nobody ever could find a position for me because of my height. And so I just played wherever I went during tryouts. And then that was when I became a sophomore.
Wait, well, let's stop you here, because what I found interesting about this part of the journey in indoor, and I think I see where you're at. Correct me if I'm wrong, but what was interesting to me and really frustrating for me as a parent to watch happen, those tryouts were like really frustrating in a lot of ways. But maybe more in the second year of club, in the third year, the one thing about you is you want, I said it earlier, you want to hit. And in volleyball, you wanted to hit. You wanted to be an outside hitter. I think was your first real love of where you wanted to play.
I wanted contact with the ball.
Yeah, you wanted to hit. No, you wanted to hit. Yeah. And you know, you're just like your dad. So you wanted to hit. And it was really unfortunate because when you would go into those gyms for those tryouts, you would get sized up immediately.
Yeah.
And instead of saying, oh my God, this kid's got athletic ability, this kid can jump, and say we could work with this, they often would, more often than not, would take the taller kid, and then subsequently, if that's what you wanted, they would then put you on the other team. And then because you could jump, what would end up transitioning is you'd go play middle, which did you no good in the long term, because you were never going to be a middle anywhere based on your size, even though you could jump. And that was really frustrating. Did you feel that frustration too? Yeah.
Yeah. I just feel like I got tossed around for all of my indoor years, honestly. Like, And I sometimes didn't have a problem with it because I loved playing all positions and I knew how to play all positions. But eventually you get to an age where like you kind of want to lock in on something and like hone in on your skills. And with getting closer to like high school levels and, you know, varsity levels and thinking about college, you kind of need to know where you live. Because you can't just be that player that plays all over the place and is going to go somewhere collegiately. It's just not how it works. Like, they recruit your outsides, your middles, your setters, your liberos, whatever it is. And so I feel like it was really hard for me to find what I loved that coaches also loved to see out of me. And so I just floated around, and that's when I started training with a different coach that was involved with indoor and beach.
Right.
And that's what led me down to, hey, you know, you'd be a really good beach player. Like, you should try it. And I tried it. I got to hit the ball and put my face in the dirt.
Yeah.
And dig them out of the sand, and it was like life-changing for me.
Yeah.
And it was so easy for me to say goodbye
Well,
to
and
indoor.
that trainer you're referring to, you were working so hard at becoming an outside hitter, and you were getting there because, again, it was in volleyball. Talking to parents out there who are volleyball parents, I'm sure they know all this. It's probably one of the more difficult sports as your kid is developing physically to be able to master the sport, right? I mean, it's easy for kids to run around and kick a ball. No, nothing against soccer, but baseball, again, a little different. But in volleyball, to be able to time your jump at a certain place in the arc, put a hit on the ball, like it takes a lot of work. And you were putting that work in. And I will never forget when that coach said to you, you know, Madison, you really should try beach volleyball. Now, from your dad growing up in Santa Monica on the beach,
Yeah,
that was
so excited.
I was so excited, but it was so right. It was so right. And at that point, we didn't really know beach existed the way it existed in Arizona, which was crazy, incredible, right? So then you make this, he says for you to go to this club and try out or go work out. I don't even think it was a tryout. You
No,
didn't
it's
need a
just a
tryout.
workout,
Just
yeah.
go work out.
Yeah.
That's the difference. There was no tryout to the whole thing. Just come play. And so
Because that's what it was. It was a lot of people just playing. Clubs were really kind of locking in at that time
Yeah.
because high school still wasn't really a thing. So clubs were kind of building. I feel like there was like maybe one or two in the area that he even knew about, like that he could even recommend coaches that were coaching beach specifically, and that's like what they loved and what they played. And I can't even remember it. I think it was just like I got tossed into a practice and I loved it. And it was hard the first couple times for me to jump out of the sand, but I got used to it and I loved it. And I just loved that I could be that defensive player and be confident and like the ball coming to me every single time and playing with somebody taller than me. There was something about knowing that like this is my position and this is where I'm going to be good at and this is what I can hone in on that just attracted me to the sport. And I could see it in my future. Like I couldn't indoor anymore.
Yeah. Well, and plus I touched on it in your long intro. You are at a perfect moment in time because the AIA in Arizona, the High School Association, had basically just started beach volleyball within the last 2 years, I think. So you got in on the forefront of this, and your high school had a beach volleyball team. So not only did you convert into beach volleyball and the tournament play side from a club perspective, I guess, but you had the ability to take what you were learning right away and go play high school volleyball, which is a beach volleyball, which is amazing. And talk about that experience, being able to move from that one sand to the other sand.
Well, I think it was really exciting knowing that I could play for my high school because it was sad leaving my high school. There's a lot of, obviously, the camaraderie and being indoors where like the basketball team plays and, you know, as rowdy as Chaparral would get back in high school, everybody still came to the volleyball games. So that was something you don't want to miss out when you're in high school. Like you want people cheering you on, you want people there. It's fun. It's exciting.
Yeah.
And knowing that we could do it in high school and I had 2 years left to do it was amazing. And Sydney got to play with me for a year.
Yeah, your senior year.
Yeah,
Yeah,
my
which is
senior year.
amazing. Yeah, we talked about
Roped her into that.
Yeah, we talked about her, by the way, just how she used her soccer skills and
How
got
she-
a few
yeah.
points with her feet.
Yeah, she did. Crazy.
Anyway, this one's about you. So, so at what point in beach volleyball do you realize, hey, I'm really good at this? Like this this is it? Like, is there a moment? Is there a place? Is there somewhere that in your memory like fully clicks with you now? Then you look back and you go, oh yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. I think my junior year, I had already been playing for RPM for a couple months, maybe a year. Can't even remember what the timeline was at this point. Leaving indoor and transitioning over to beach, it was like kind of a blur because I was still playing with high school. Season ended. I was still playing in a club, left the club, went into beach, then beach season started. Kind of all happened so fast. I don't really remember a specific turning point for me, but I just knew my junior year, like going into high school, that I was locked in to my position, and that's when it just all clicked for me. Like the fact that I didn't have to worry about being on the net, like that wasn't my position anymore, and I could focus on what I was good at with my size, and I could still hit the ball. I could still dive.
Yeah.
I could get up and block if I needed to.
Right.
I could get there if my partner was pulled back, whatever the reason was. But that junior year was probably the year that it just all clicked for me.
Is there a sand volleyball court somewhere? No, seriously, is there a sand volleyball court somewhere that just is like the happy place in your mind in any of these levels?
Well, in California, collegiately, that's my happy place.
So which court?
Tamarack Beach is
Okay.
probably
All right, fair enough.
one of the best spots.
Yeah, can't argue.
Huntington,
Waves crashing.
Hermosa.
Yeah,
It's the beaches. Really.
yeah.
Here, if I have to pick one in Arizona, the one off of Via Linda, Scottsdale Ranch Park.
Okay.
Played there for fun all the time with my friends. That's where we played in high school.
Yeah.
There's just a lot of good memories at those courts.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, well, let's make a big transition here. So I want to talk about mom and dad as sports parents. We can talk a little bit about the sidelines or the bleachers or the whatever you want to call them with the whole environment. But let's talk about it, me and mom first. How would you describe us as sports parents for you?
Very encouraging.
Okay.
I feel like there's all positive as sports parents for you guys. You guys were the fun parents on the drives. You guys always carpooled. Mom was always a part of carpooling for practices.
Yeah.
So our car was always filled with people. Even when Sydney was in soccer, I remember all soccer kids always in the car too. I feel like you guys were just always there for us.
So a lot of support.
Yeah, a lot of support.
Any negative at all? Which is okay. I mean, that's what this is about.
No,
we want parents
I mean,
to learn.
I think as parents, the biggest thing that happened with us as a family was that one person stayed in one lane more than the other because somebody has to travel with the kids. Like Sydney was in soccer. You went to a lot of soccer tournaments. I was in volleyball. Mom went and did a lot of volleyball with me. It's just kind of how it went. I don't feel any way about that.
You don't feel any way?
No, I don't.
So she knows where I'm going with this. So I'm going to ask her anyway, just for you parents at home, because as a parent, I actually felt, and I probably still feel the guilt of not being there all the time. Now, I will say this, something that was interesting in talking to Sydney was her expression of, well, you didn't need to be there all the time. Like, it would have been okay. Because I would have had maybe more fun, less pressure, and would love to have just called you. Now, it's selfish that is how it is. Selfish from our standpoint, from my standpoint. I mean, good Lord, when I could get to one of your games, I mean, I remember going damn near across town for high school to a high school that was on the very edge of Phoenix. I don't know. Well, I wasn't even in Phoenix anymore. I might have almost been in California. They were all really
far, though.
Yeah. But I would never want to miss a game, and it never occurred to me that there might be more value to not be there for you than there was being there. And I'm sure you want to have your parents there, but I always felt like maybe it was my feeling of a shortcoming because I had the time I was with Sydney and had that lane, as you say, that I'm going because I want to. This is a moment, right? And did you feel that way at all, or were you happy that I or your mom and I were able to make our way over there, or would you have rather have had your, some separation and some time alone to just do your thing?
No, I mean, I feel like I don't focus on this as much as you do because I very much was that player on the court that shut everything out. Beach volleyball is really intimate. So when you go to games, parents are literally sitting like 2 to 3 inches from the line, which it has its good and its bad stories. but I was the person that was more locked in about the person on the other side of the net.
Yeah.
And if they cross my net, then I'm worried about the parents sitting next to me, so you kind of like forget about it. Either way, I always felt support from you guys. Whether
Yeah.
I was playing, I was at home, we were talking about practice, you were driving me to tryouts, you were, shoulder to cry on when I didn't make varsity or I didn't, A, B, or C. Like, whatever it was, you guys were always there, and that's all I could have ever asked for.
Okay, well, I'm glad to hear that. So one of the things I want to, kind of be consistent, you're kind of touching on it, and we can put just a ribbon on it if it's that simple, is culture of the sports home, right? Having a connection. So and I don't know if we established the overall best sports culture at home in thinking about it. I think it happened, but I don't know if we sat around and talked about it, right? I would encourage parents today to talk about it with their kids. What are the outcomes that they're looking for, right? Where should you be in development and so on and so forth? And then connect that culture, the center of that culture at home, with the culture of a club or a team with a coach, and really align it all, right? And so at the center of this, do you feel like you were in a good sports culture at home overall?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Okay.
I feel like now I see how different conversations could have been added to the conversation just based on like what we talk about now and what I went through in college, what Cindy went through in high school, what I see other kids go through in high school or college, whatever it may be, or my friends that went through A, B, or C when they were growing up with their family dynamics. But mental health is obviously the biggest conversation in sports when you're in high school. And I feel like that's something families neglect the most, is asking, like, not only are we talking about we need to be this good to get you a scholarship into college, or you need to be playing sports at all times, no matter what it is in high school, which is how you guys were, which I love. That's why I did track, that's why I did soccer, that's why I did volleyball. But in those conversations, people forget that maybe if we're doing so many different things and they're going to school and they're thinking about college and they're thinking about ABC, I keep doing my ABCs, I don't know why. But,
That's okay.
But we forget to talk about mental health for kids in high school too. I feel like that's just the biggest conversation that needs to be.
Well, I 100% agree.
Yeah.
We'll come to that in a minute. So pin that, because I definitely want to come in on it. You talk about the other sidelines. Let's talk about that inside of volleyball for a moment. Beach in particular, I found really fascinating as a parent. I found myself with both of you guys in a place of protection. And in beach volleyball, the culture inside of beach volleyball with parents, there are a lot of good ones. But boy, oh boy.
A lot of bad ones.
Yeah, and the recruiting, the involvement. I
Yeah.
always felt, and your mom, beach volleyball was so, first of all, part of this was age with you, because you're now in beach volleyball and your sophomore and junior year, so you're older. And at that point, it's like, let the leash be longer, like go experience and make your decisions, deal with the things. At least I hope that's what it was. And go figure out who you're going to play with. But oh my God, I couldn't believe the parents that got involved with that relationship. Amazing.
Yeah.
And how did that impact you?
I mean, parents, even on it, the conversation of parents, when we really dive into it, I have so many vivid memories of parents, like, say we were in high school going to a game that was really far away, and maybe you guys weren't there, maybe you were there. I can't even remember at this point all the games. But there were parents that would sit like 2 or 3 inches from the sideline, because that's how you sit in beach volleyball.
Yeah.
And they would, even when things would go wrong in the games, the fact that parents have like the audacity to stand up 2 inches from a court with kids that are in high school that are underage and saying the things they're saying, that was insane to me. Because yes, as a senior, I did my fair share of talking crap across the net with players.
That's
But
okay.
parents don't get involved with that.
Right.
Especially at a young age.
Right.
College and, competing professionally, that's different. But high school, it's another thing with that game. To be so close to the sidelines and getting into kids' heads is just crazy. And that only involved once you get out of the game, because these people we might be playing across the net with are people that I might be playing in competitions with outside of high school ball.
Yeah.
Because you are constantly rotating your player or who you're, playing with in any tournament, whether it's in California or Arizona. and parents would recruit.
Yeah.
And I heard the good and the bad. I had a lot of really good parents that I played with, well, their kids, that were just, they would drive anywhere, they would fly anywhere with us. They would, if you guys couldn't make it, they would take me, type of thing. Like, super supportive. Doesn't matter if we just met each other, like, their kids. It doesn't matter if I just met them or we've been playing club for years together. They are fully supportive. But then you have parents that you hear chirping in the background about they don't want their kid partnering with this kid because it doesn't look good for their kid. Well, it's like, at the end of the day, it's an experience. It's one tournament. One tournament's not going to hurt you.
Right.
There's lessons to be learned with you to play with somebody that's better or worse than you. There's always something to learn in every situation, but obviously a lot of parents don't see it that way, and that's what I saw.
Right, and it's the parent control, that parent that, I think it's super easy in sports in general to get sucked into it. I think early on I might have gotten sucked into it, admittedly, but you realize if you're really looking at yourself in the mirror, you realize pretty quickly, like, wait a minute, this is not right. Like, everything that I want to do is be supportive, not only to my daughters, but to the girls around them in particular. Like, I don't want to be a part of that, right?
Yeah.
And it was amazing to me to watch parents recruit. And to some degree, it came back to size for you, which really pissed me off as a dad to watch. Like, okay, you're really judging my daughter on, like, she's not good enough to play with your daughter? Like,
size is always going to be in the conversation.
Well, I get it.
So many sports.
But it still was just, let them go have fun and just
people forget about
figure
having
it out.
fun.
Huh?
People forget about fun.
Oh, yeah. No, it's for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. So did you feel like they forgot about it in beach volleyball? Fun?
No, I feel like parents maybe did, but I had fun in beach.
Yeah. No, I
in all
knew
the
that.
years I played, I had fun.
No, I'm talking about parents that were around you.
Yeah. I mean, once I got into my senior year, I kind of like, I started playing with girls that weren't even in high school anymore.
Yeah.
To help better myself, because I didn't want to deal with certain parents that were around me in my community.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. All right. Well, let's take a turn here and let's talk about coaching and the impact coaching has had on you, positive, negative, throughout all your sports. I know your best coach was, so we can just leave him aside when you were playing soccer. I'm kidding.
I
may not be
there.
Yeah, I'm just joking. Dad joke. But let's talk about the overall impact, positive and negative.
Yeah.
What do you recall?
I feel like every sport, I recall one or two coaches that like really stuck out to me because of not only their love for the game, but their love and their intention for me as a player. You could feel that it wasn't just like these are my good star players that are already signed, sealed, and delivered to college, and those are who I'm going to focus on. I was blessed with good coaches in beach that kept their eyes on everybody, no matter who they were. They were motivated to get a scholarship, whether it was D1, junior college, D2, whatever it was. They were motivated to get everybody on some sort of track that made that player happy. And I think that's one of the main reasons why I fell in love with beach, because I had so many amazing coaches in the beach world. And I feel like I dealt with way more coaches in indoor. I had way less in beach as a kid. I mean, I feel like I played indoor a little bit longer, but I had way more coaches. And so I had way more bad coaches.
All levels, by the way.
Yeah,
you had some that were
levels.
good, you had some that didn't know how to coach, but were great people.
But in every aspect, there was always one positive one in beach.
Yeah.
So that's what always kept me going along the way.
Huh, okay. What style did you play best for? What style of coach?
I don't even know how to call it a style, but just the people that like coach as a team, because beach can be very independent.
Right.
It's a different sort of conversation with other sports. It can be very individual.
Yeah.
Especially when you get into the college level. It's just 1, 2 of you on the court, and then you're fighting for spots. But in high school, I feel like it was the very direct, motivational, I'm here for you. I support your future goals. That was like the coaching that I liked, because I'm very direct.
Yeah.
Inside and outside of sports.
Yeah.
I just like to be told.
I can confirm that, by the way.
I like to be told exactly what I need to hear, but then like we get back to work and you keep coaching me, like type of thing. Not like I had coaches where it was like, let me tell you all the bad things you did wrong, but then I'm not going to tell you anything that you did positive. and I'm just gonna keep drilling you and just be that negative person and like not have any, it's like sandwich. You got to get good and bad.
Right.
And the people that knew how to give good and bad were the people that I really loved as my coaches.
Yeah. And is that, you coached for a little bit with younger kids. Mm-hmm. Is that the style you coached with?
Yeah. I feel like I coached with a lot of fun. When kids weren't focused, we would just run from the top of the sand where the courts were all the way down to the ocean. And that was the most thrilling exercise that we could do the whole time. And they didn't even care. It was just fun for them to be able to run down to the water just because it's the ocean and there's some seaweed down there and they could run and pick back up and run to the court. Like, they were 10 to 14-year-olds when I coached, but those kids, all they wanted to do was have fun. They wanted to learn. They wanted to be good because they played side by side to courts that were our 15 to 18-year-olds that were about to be in college. So they saw the standard. They saw what they wanted to be, but they also were in that mindset of just still having fun. Like, they were just the younger crowd that loved the game and just wanted to do whatever I wanted to do with them. So I just always made it fun in practice.
Yeah, that's cool. Mm-hmm. And as a entrepreneur with OYT Active, even as I've watched you, I mean, you can say you're a bartender, but you fully have control of what's going on around you, whether you're training or whether you're essentially I don't know if it's right to say a bar manager in those training environments. I mean, is that part of the inherent coaching style that you played for, that you're bringing to leadership roles and business roles?
Mm-hmm. I think I definitely was somebody that saw the negative coaching and teachings, whatever you may call it, trainings in life, and saw that I did not want to be that person because I remember how it affected me in those moments that I hated or I felt held back because of a way a coach reacted to me. And I just know everything I do, whether I was coaching when I was in California and I was in college and they were just a couple little kids, or me training the bartenders I train now when I'm opening a new store, or teaching new staff that I work with in events for the clothing line. It's all the same. Like, everybody wants positive affirmations and knowing that you're there for them, but also I'm very detail-oriented, so I'm going to get right to the point. I'm going to tell you like it is, but also I'm going to appreciate you being there and, take the time it needs to make you feel like you're meant to be there,
Yeah, and then I was going to ask you, is what stuck with you the most? Is that what stuck with you the most, is positive affirmation? I mean, is that from coaches in the past?
Yeah. I would say just having support
is
the biggest thing. Because a lot of coaches that I had, yet I felt like I had no support. Mm-hmm. Like, I just didn't feel like they genuinely cared. Versus others that I felt like I could get full support, I could go to about my personal life. Like, those type of people, those type of coaches are the ones we need. It's like every time we talk about this, I think about Ted Lasso.
Yeah.
Because he cares. He cares about every player. Doesn't matter if he's a star one or the bottom ranked, whatever it is, they're professionals. But it should go for every single team, every single sport. That's just the mindset that should be in the forefront for everything.
Yeah, I agree. And then the parents that are listening, when you're talking about coaches and, kind of bringing a summary, what would you recommend for them to do as they're trying to, and maybe we stick in the volleyball lane, maybe indoor and on the beach side, or what would you recommend, that they kind of look for in coaches to ensure that their kids having a positive, experience, great mental outcomes, great physical outcomes?
Yeah. I mean, I feel like coaches can say a lot of things to get you to pay money to have your kid on their team.
Yeah.
So I think it's hard to find certain aspects. I think just straight up asking your kid if they like their coach or not, or if there's coaches, because if you're playing in a club for beach, I had a handful of coaches I was coached by. There wasn't like one or two.
Yeah.
And there was always people I could go to. So if you were to sit me down when I was a kid going through beach and ask me, are you happy in your club? Like, do you feel like you have coaches you can lean on? I would have said yes. And that should be the factor in a sport, is if your kid feels like they can get support at any point when they're at practice from their coach, that's a win.
What's interesting in all of that is there's chasing victory, right? And there's a lot of that. Got to play for the best club, especially in your earlier years indoor. where the most important thing, and I got to say it was probably lost to a degree. I don't think it was totally lost because I still was hoping that someone would grab you and the talent I saw and they would mold it the way it was supposed to. But development, right?
Yeah.
Where are you going to get developed? Like, where is that focus going to come from? But yet, whether it was on any club for that matter, and even from an A team to a B team to a C team to a D team, which you weren't on a C or D, but you know what I mean? It was like lost. It was completely lost. Like, we got to win this tournament. We got to, like, okay, when does actual development come into play? And how important do you think that is for parents to know that they really should be chasing the development coach versus the coach whose ego is wrapped up in winning, or the club? I mean, we saw plenty of clubs that that's just what they had to have.
I don't know how to give advice on that, if I'm being honest. I feel like I'm not. There's a lot of things I see from the athlete perspective, but I haven't been a parent yet, so I don't know how I'm going to feel when I have kids
Well, no, but
and what to look
as
for.
an athlete who's now a grown adult, what maybe do you wish had happened, or will you hope parents today will do?
I think it just goes back to what I said, where like you just need to talk to your kids, because I feel like there were so many times in sports where I wasn't happy with coaches. And yes, I stayed in it because, like, yeah, we pay the money. But I feel like when you go to tryouts or you do, like, whatever it is to figure out beforehand, before you write that check and see if your kid loves it, that's what you should be doing.
Yeah.
Before you toss them in there and say, well, you need to deal with it now, because that's only going to cause mental problems down the line if they have a coach that they're dealing with that's crazy, like coaches I had that literally came in after drinking all day, and you could tell. And they would just run us all practice type of thing. Like, there's that, and then there's the support that you need. And I think we're getting to a point where there are foundational teams now, so there's a better route to go. I feel like when I was in indoor, no one knew where to go. Everybody was just kind of figuring out.
It was
like,
a mad dash.
Yeah, and it didn't really matter who the coaches were.
Yeah.
It was like who had the better team.
Right.
That's all that it was.
And the tryouts were like all within hours of one another.
Yeah.
So you literally could not, as a parent, figure out what is actually the best situation for my kid. And I resent the idea that we could not, to your point, which is right on, you really almost couldn't do the research, the conversations with the coach or the club director or whatever. There were a few times that I definitely inserted myself and tried. But in a lot of cases, it was such a game of like, okay, well, it's not this one. We got to go here. We got to leave now. Let's go, Madison. I remember getting in the car a few times and like doing sprints to get to the next trial.
Yeah.
And what was that opportunity going to look like? And I don't think you get that ability to really dig in to understand what is it that you're paying for, right? It's almost blind faith, and sometimes it's word of mouth. I mean, and to your point, I think parents should do a much better job of trying to figure that out before they go. Don't let the, especially in volleyball, and I don't know how many other sports are like volleyball, but don't let the urgency of the tryout situation force you into a situation that isn't right for your kid, essentially, right? Okay. Well, we've talked about the sport transition when you went from indoor to beach, and, so that was a fresh start for you and a whole new opening to love again?
I had so many injuries in indoor that being able to hit a cushioned floor was game changer for me.
Yeah.
That was another reason why I fell in love with it. I could be impactful without actually impacting my body.
Yeah. And then what about, really the freedom of controlling it? You had the ability to control to some degree, right? Like you mentioned,
I had
you
a lot of
trained-
control in
Yeah.
beach volleyball.
And how was that for you?
It was way better than indoor. I think for any kid that feels trapped in indoor, they should try beach volleyball. And I think beach volleyball is one of those sports where, like, people just love the game, especially when you get out of playing for high school or playing for, even in high school it was really fun. But playing college ball and all of that, like, once you get out or you're in California or you're playing on the beach, like, it's just one of those games that everybody is passionate about and has fun with. And I don't know, beach was my favorite. Honestly, I forgot what your question was. I was getting lost in the passion
that's all right.
for
No, that's
beach
all right.
volleyball in the
that's
sand.
okay. You touched on something, though, so we can kind of take a little bit of a turn as injuries. And how did, injuries affect you both physically, and was there any mentally and you had a really bad concussion one time. I mean, what was the impact of injuries
I mean,
your youth
injuries
sport?
really coursed my whole journey, honestly. I tore my rotator cuff maybe two or three times, not fully. They were like slight tears. And then I would go to the doctor, go to physical therapy, and then get sent back too early, and then I would end up tearing it again. Or there would be another slight tear, or then I fully tore it. And so that was like one of many that happened, and then you're like, where do I go now? Because that takes me out of high school ball, takes me out of club for a year, whatever the injury was. But I played through a lot of injuries, which I think was also, I look back on that and I feel it now. I played through a lot of like broken fingers, concussions, shoulder problems, like everything that I probably should have taken better care of. But also I remember in indoor battling these injuries and still being put on the court. Like even when I was in pain in certain situations, I would still be put on the court in tournaments. So I played through a lot of things that I shouldn't have played through.
And was that, I mean, I'm about to ask you about coaches, but the first thing I need to ask you is, I had to have known, your mom and I had to have known of those injuries, and we put you in a position for the coach to do that?
I think it was more like mid-game.
Okay, so did you tell the coach?
Yeah, coaches knew.
And they still put you in?
Yeah, and they still put me in. Because, I mean, as a kid, I get it. Like, some kids get hurt, and, you're not really hurt.
Yeah.
So we're going to put you back in. But I feel like a lot of the times that I remember going through that, I was actually coming back from some sort of injury. Like, I was already out for a certain amount of weeks, and I'm coming back. Like, I also want to play. So I'm like, okay, yeah, put me in. Like, if you really think I should be in, like, yeah, put me in. I'm going to believe you. Because as a kid, your faith is in your coach.
Yeah.
So, like, if they feel good enough that I should go in and I can go in, I'm going to go in and I'm going to keep playing. And I feel like I did that a lot in indoor. And that's why I loved beach, because I didn't get injured as much. And I didn't feel as pressured because tournaments were all scattered. I didn't feel as pressured to, like, miss out on something, because I could just take my week off, take my 2 weeks off, whatever my injury was, and then come back and sign up for another tournament. Or I could sign up for a tournament down the line, game plan my partner, practice with them beforehand. Beach volleyball just really had its own control, and it made it a lot easier to deal with injuries until I went to the collegiate level, where we were obviously looking at all these colleges, and then I cracked my head open and get 14 stitches in my face and a concussion and a broken nose, and then it's a whole nother head problem of being too scared to dive when somebody dives next to me, and then you got to work out of not only the physical pain of what I need to get out of, it's also the mental aspect.
Yeah, well, let's talk about that. So in the mental aspect side, I mean, your sister clearly was going through a lot of stuff. And again, I don't think we had the answers for her. Your mom and I desperately tried to find help. We're talking 10 years ago in your youth sports days, 12 years ago. I don't think there was as much information out there for parents as there is today. Mm-hmm. Lucky for parents today. And I also don't think that you had coaches that had an understanding of what mental health impact could actually have. So, to the degree you had those conversations with coaches, I don't know, but maybe along the lines with the fear of diving, and that concussion you got. I mean, where in your career did you really kind of start to feel mental health issues and the impact of that?
I probably felt it my senior year after that injury, when I couldn't dive, because I felt it. I felt the impact from going from training with some of our top players to getting pulled back and put in groups to play with different girls because I was too scared to dive. So I was, missing more balls. I was, there was more mental things going on for me as a player, and that's when I felt it the most. And then right when I got it back and I was going to go to college ball, I fractured the top of my tibia.
Yeah.
So it was like, once that happened and I was able to get out of the first thing, you go back into the second thing and you're like, how is this going to affect me now? I need to stay positive about it. And then you go into a new college. I moved to a whole other state with an injury and a signed contract to play in California.
Yeah.
Not knowing when my leg was going to heal, on crutches during the indoor season, waiting for beach season to start. And then I got to hopefully come out ready to play when beach season hits.
Which you did.
Which I did.
Yeah. But let's go back. I want to talk about the concussion and your fear of diving and then getting pulled back by the coaches at the time. they really did not recognize your mental health struggles.
I mean,
I don't remember them recognizing your mental health struggles.
I don't remember there being like specific conversations, but there was one coach that was aware, like he noticed it. He was there when the whole injury had happened. And so he was very like, every time I came to practice was like, how are you doing today? How are we feeling? You know, like, and actually I would stay and work drills with him on certain days too. And just like, you know, dive for the ball, get balls thrown towards me so that I can, you know, not be afraid of that impact again and just get out of that headspace that I was in. So there were coaches that were willing to work with me and could see it and were there from the jump. But again, that was probably one coach out of a handful that I had around me at the time, and no one really being like, hey, do you need to talk about it? Like, right. I also don't think a lot of people knew how to talk about it at that time.
No, definitely not.
Yeah.
And recognizing it was another element to it all. But still, even if you didn't, and again, it's biased as the dad to say this, but I could feel it, you know? And I got to imagine that if a coach is fully in tune with their players, they could feel that, you know? I don't think it's just a parent thing, although it's, you know, you can see it at home, but I just didn't feel that after that happened. I felt like if there was any point of disappointment for me at that point of your career with where you were going, that was it. Like, I just didn't feel like all of a sudden it was like there's no recognition for what this big injury was. Like, this was massive. I
was also in the spot where college was the focus when that happened. So everybody, even coaches, were focused on getting kids their scholarships and getting them seen by coaches. And so right when that happened, a lot of those opportunities were taken away from me. So a lot of the coaching was taken away from me in a sense.
Yeah. And how did that impact you? The college recruiting process, getting seen by coaches at those tournaments. I mean, again, it's a domino of your injury, but how did all that, even before your injury, as you're getting ramped into that situation, how was that element of the D1 dream, I guess, because that was a big part of what the club was doing. Was, so where are you gonna play, right? It had to be D1, and you didn't go D1, which is fine. But.
And I wanted to. I probably could have. I was on the route to do it. I think mentally I really wanted to be there, and I was driven to get there. And I feel like my coaches also knew I could get there. And then just the injury just fell at a really terrible time for me. And I look back and I don't have any regrets on it, but I do see how it affected possibly where I could have gone. I mean, it was really like the end of my senior year. Like, I signed with college within like a couple months of school almost ending. Like, it was so close. Yeah. It was so close for me.
Yeah. Might have even been in the summer.
Yeah, it was. I don't even remember. I think it was in the summer. And then that was it.
No, I think it was in the summertime when it went down. So let's talk about that transition. So you go to college, and your year at college, fun year. You played great. You were growing, development. Any thoughts on your college years?
My college year was insane. My college year was crazy because so we're talking about the head injury. Then I came back from it, ended up deciding to go to this college, and then went to the river and fractured the top of my tibia. Go in summertime, literally had one of my future teammates with me staying in town, and got carried out of the river, went and got an x-ray. It was the top of my tibia, was on crutches moving into my apartment in California.
Now, you played nothing in the fall.
No,
right?
They wanted me to play indoor. They kept asking me to be a part of it because it was still college ball for a lot of the areas, especially like junior colleges and D3s were very like integrated with their indoor and beach volleyball team. And so they always left it on the table for me. I was never really interested, but I lived with my team that played indoor too. So I was very exposed to it the whole time, even coming out of that injury. But when beach volleyball season, and those coaches were amazing. They were all about mental health awareness. They were all about, talking about who you are and what you want as a player. And right before beach season started, they got an amazing offer to go to another school, and they took the job. So going into our beach season, the coaches that I thought I was going to be playing for were gone, and had a whole new coach come in to the picture during my beach season, which turned it around for me even more.
Turn it around, good or bad?
I mean, I think there's good and bads from it.
Yeah.
There's good and bad things. I was coaching and a part of a program with the person that ended up coaching my program, and I loved him. I loved all of the coaches. I'm still in contact with some of the coaches that I was working with then, that I was training with before beach season started, and they were all a part of our program when, our coaches left and they stepped in, and they made it fun. There were so many fun aspects to it, but there's also a conversation of beach volleyball collegiately being something where there are coaches that pin basically teammates against each other to fight for that one spot or that two spot.
Yeah.
And when you're in a setting where these girls live together, but they're also fighting for these spots, it creates a weird dynamic.
Right.
I feel like we had I had great roommates. I made amazing friends out there. I had amazing teammates, people that I still talk to this day. But there was weird dynamics, I feel like, that could have been different. And this comes from not only what I went through, but also what I've had my other friends in college go through, and how they've also walked away from college ball because of the situations of living with teammates and playing with them and being, pinned up against each other to, fight for that 1, 2, or 3 spots or whatever it was.
Yeah.
Just becomes an emotional mind game when it shouldn't be. It should be fun. We're playing on the beach, for God's sakes.
Right. Yeah.
The ocean's right there.
Yeah.
You'd think there wouldn't be more drama behind that.
Yeah, I get it. In your essentially, so after that first year, you ended up choosing to walk away. You wanted to go focus on your education. And did you experience identity loss from being a beach volleyball player? And how did that impact you?
I feel like for years after the fact, I still thought about, what if I continued playing? Because I played after college. When I moved back to Arizona, I was still playing. I was trying to get tournaments into the AVP. So I switched my routes collegiately and tried to play, and then COVID ended up happening.
Yeah.
So then COVID just shut it all down, and that kind of made me lean heavier into being like, you know what, we're back in Arizona. It happened for a reason. Let's just focus on school. Like, if I'm going to be shut down, might as well grind out and get through what I need to at school to then get my graduate degree.
Yeah.
Which was my bigger picture.
Yeah. And amazing. I mean, I always say you're my run through the wall kid, even if you can walk around it with no problem. And you decided that you wanted to be on the football team, athletic training team, student athletic training team, and you got there as a sophomore, which wasn't common for sophomores, to be honest. Very proud of you of that. Let's just kind of put a conclusion on mental health. Younger athletes that are listening to this right now, their parents that are feeling that struggle that's going on at home, and they can't put their finger on it, and it's mentally, what would you want to say to them?
To the parents or the kids?
Well, both. I mean, what would you want to say to them? Parents first.
Parents first, I say to just ask the kids, what they're feeling. Not about, what they're feeling for the sport, what they're feeling about their practices on a day-to-day basis, if they're enjoying it, if they love it. It's literally just about if you enjoy it and you love it. Because the fact that so many people lose their love for the game is the sad part about it. Like, we go in as little kids loving this game and playing it and having fun with our friends, to constantly being ruined by coaches and parents and teammates or whatever it is. There's always somebody to ruin the pretty picture that we're painting. So I think just being on top of it and aware of, hey, what are you going through? How was practice? Did you have fun? Are you worried about this? Or let's remember that we're all supposed to be having fun out there. Don't put so much pressure on yourself, type of thing.
Yeah, and we didn't touch on it much. You kind of hit on it real quick, but I want to make a point of it. The car ride home after practice or after the tournament or after the game or whatever it is, you kind of said those were happy times for you. Did you ever feel any pressure on that, and what would you recommend to parents?
I honestly don't even really remember, a lot of our conversations. I feel like
you blacked them out. They were that bad.
No. You know me. I was always that kid that was like, I don't want to talk about it. I disciplined myself in my own way. I I remember more of that with you and Sydney than it was with me, because I was very much like, I know what I did wrong. I don't want to talk about it, and I'm going to mentally think about it later and think about how I'm going to do it different the next time.
Listen, I will give you credit for that. And I don't know if there's a happy medium somewhere in there, because I do want to say, as your dad, and maybe that's just not understanding the type of personality you were, which I have far greater understanding today, it almost felt shut out. And I think what you did was admirable, because you kept the noise away if there was going to be any noise, whatever that was. But I would almost say to parents at home, and I don't know if you agree with this, but try to find that happy medium. Like, let your kid find that happy medium. Yeah. Don't just shut it down, because no communication at all is not a good thing either, for one side or the other, or maybe both.
Well, because the biggest thing is, like, if end all be all is college for a kid or parents, that's what your goal is, like, eventually the kid is going to be on their own. Like, well, they need to know how to handle a situation after a hard loss. Like, it's going to be their coaches yelling at them, and then they go home to themselves. Like, they need to be able to take care of themselves in those situations. Yeah. And if you're, screaming at your kid after a match, or you're, not saying anything, or you're not there for them after or before, whatever the situation is, I think can be a lot of downfall from that as they go into college and not know how to provide for themselves emotionally or mentally in those situations.
Yeah, 100%. The helicopter parent needs to somehow find a way to look in the mirror and figure it out.
I love that topic.
Yeah, that's another day.
Thank God you weren't one.
Another episode. Yeah, there's no way it would ever happen. All right, believe it or not, you've done an hour of the show. Crazy, right? Yeah. All right, so we're going to get into rapid fire. And by the way, there are so many, these topics, you and I think we could go way deeper individually on stuff. And I hope,
I feel like we already talked too much about questions. There was at least 20 other ones we were going to talk about.
Well, yeah.
Get to it.
Yeah, and hopefully we'll do this again. But let's do rapid fire, okay? So I'm going to throw some stuff at you. One word answer, maybe as brief as you can.
One word answer?
It doesn't have to be one, but keep it brief. I mean, you're a talker like me, so let's try to keep it brief. Okay. It is rapid fire, and we're at the hour. What was your go-to pump-up song before a tournament?
I told you I don't remember my pump-up songs.
Okay, nothing. You got nothing for me on that one.
You were probably on aux, and it was probably AC/DC pulling up to a volleyball court or something.
Okay, I'll take that. If you can instantly master any other sport, what would it be?
Track.
Really? Okay. Yeah. Greatest accomplishments, most proud moment.
Going to play college ball.
Okay. One or two memories from anywhere in sports that still make you smile when you think back on them.
One or two moments from sports.
One moment that you look back on that still makes you smile. Could be anything.
Going to championships my collegiate year.
Okay. One word to describe your volleyball career, and if there's another word to describe the journey, but what's the one word to describe your...
My volleyball journey?
Yeah, or career.
Oh my gosh. A roller coaster.
Okay. One lesson from volleyball you still use every day.
Communication.
Okay. If you were a coach today, what would be your style? We kind of answered this, I guess, but okay. Advice to younger Madison playing sports. Same you would give to young athletes today if it's the same or different. What would you say to young Madison today?
Run through a wall.
Huh?
Run through a wall.
Well, you were already running through a wall. What would you tell young Madison?
Stay humble, work hard. The rest will follow.
Okay. And what about your parents then to younger Madison? Anything?
Stay humble.
Okay. And what would you tell parents listening to this in general, overall?
Stay humble.
Stay humble. Okay.
Stay humble.
All right. Well, listen, final thoughts. What did you think about your first visit on Be Valiant?
It was so great. I want to come back again.
Well, you're always welcome back. You know that.
Yeah. I know we have at least 20 other things to talk about.
And we got, I think, you didn't even mention her, but I think I got one of your favorite trainers coming on next week.
Who?
Liz Masakayan.
That's so exciting.
Yeah. So we'll have to talk about that.
Yeah.
All right, well, listen, here's the part where I probably do need tissues.
Oh, you
and
do.
I want to say in closing, well, maybe you will, so I'll pass it over to you. But I want to say, first of all, I'm so incredibly proud of you. Your mom is so incredibly proud of you, not just as a player, although I was very proud of you as a player and the fight that you always brought to the court or to the sand or to the field or whatever it was from a very young age. But most importantly is the person that you've become, because those traits are still what drives you, and it's incredible to watch, really incredible. As I've said in this episode, as I said to our producers beforehand, you're the kid who runs through the wall and doesn't care if it's easier just to walk around it. You're going to run through the wall and you don't want to hear instruction, and that's a great quality. Your drive is a great quality. Your leadership is a great quality. Those are your superpowers, and as your dad, I just love to see that. We've had this conversation in the past, and I loved when the light bulb moment finally went off. I used to tell you guys when you were kids that I just want to see you love something so much that when you can't do it, it hurts. And I don't think either one of you understood that. The moment you understood it, I believe, was when I said to you, I want to go to the ASU football game, but I don't care about the game. Sorry, Sun Devil fans. I want to watch you on the sideline. You're like, what? I'm like, yeah. I'm watching you do what you love.
Watching me stand there with a water bottle.
Yes, and I wanted to watch that because it's in line with my mantra. So, I'm incredibly proud. Your entrepreneurial spirit. I mean, we didn't even get into LYT and LYT Active and what you're doing and the mission you've got there. It's amazing.
I'll come back later and we can talk about it.
Okay, but it's amazing what you're doing there. Your leadership and work is amazing. I'm just super proud. So what I would tell you is, and I don't think this will happen, but do not ever let anybody take those characteristics away from you, because that is undoubtedly your superpower, and that is what will make you succeed at anything you want to do. And I know you've got visions of other things in front of you, and you will accomplish whatever you set out to do because of that. But do not let anybody knock it down. Anybody. And if you have a problem, you call me and I'll make sure. Okay?
I'll make sure to call you.
Okay.
Tough guy.
And thank you for sharing, your stories, the wins, the losses, the injuries, the struggles. I appreciate it. And so hopefully we'll do it again. All right. So in closing, if you found value in this conversation, share it with another parent, share it with another athlete, share it with a coach. It'd be nice for a coach to hear a perspective from an athlete that went through it and what they feel like coming out of it. So for more stories like Madison's and other resources, visit playfearless.org. And as I always say in closing, for all the parents that are in the thick of it or you're just starting out, remember, you're allowed to make bold, informed decisions for your child. You're allowed to walk away from the wrong team. You're allowed to demand a better culture, but most of all, you're allowed to trust your gut and lead your family the way that's right for you and especially for your kids. Until next time, be valiant, play fearless.